Looks all right. Looks our 75 or 75 plus because people are adding. If you decide to skip lunch for this talk, so either you're interested in AI product management field, or the lunch option wasn't that great. Either way, glad you're here. So, as you know, all AI is becoming a big part of our everyday lives, from the recommendation we get online, or the personalized experience on our devices. But behind every AI product, AI solution, there is a key player making it all happen, the AI product manager. And that's quite new, we are hearing. We've heard probably more about product management, but we haven't probably heard much about AI product management. And anyway, before we delve deep in the topic and what really that mean, let's kick things off with a quick intro. I'm Amin Kaboli. Let me just go to my slides here. Anyway, I don't need my slides to introduce myself. I'm Amin Kaboli, lecturer at EPFL and co-director of AI product management and advisor to corporates and startups. I'm very happy and excited to be sharing this session with my friend Ali. I leave it for Ali to introduce himself. I think you are mute. Do we have Ali in the call?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, great.
Okay, I think I was muted. Hi everyone, I'm Ali. Currently, I'm a group product manager in Google Zurich. So basically working on trust and safety products for YouTube. I'm also a EPFL alumni. So I was graduated 2011. I got my PhD in machine learning from IC department there. So yeah, past 14 years in Google as a product manager, working on different products, Google Maps, Google Calendar, and YouTube, different parts of YouTube. So great to be here. Thanks a lot.
Great to have you, Ali, here. Thank you. So based on the questions we have received from our audience at various events and talks, we have prepared content to help you gain a deeper understanding about this field, AI product management field, and the role and evolving opportunities. So feel free to drop your question as a hot potato in the chat, and we address them at the end of the session. And the main purpose is, like, we don't want to necessarily present these slides. Rather, these are the visuals helping you over lunch or while you're listening. We want to keep it conversational. And one last thing, I sincerely ask everybody, please help us for the better management of this session to keep your mic mute. And then at the end, we have a time probably to chat, or the best is to drop your questions. Appreciate that. Thank you. So a quick, let's say, kick start, and good news for all of us as engineers, engineering background, for our alumni is that the numbers you see on the right and left, the right is product management, the left is number of engineers. And of course, this data is 24 years in US market. We don't have the data here, and this is up to March 2024. Anyway, I had to pay. So that is up to here that we have. But what we see, we all dealt with data as an engineer. What is very important is the growth that we are seeing in this field. And the other factor that is important is, like, you see the ratio between engineers and product management. And is that depends on the industry and depends on the company. We have the ratio of 8-to-1 currently. In some companies, we have 6-to-1, 4-to-1, and that dependency goes to the more we have it towards AI-centric, or the company that want to have AI or embed AI in the current products that they have. But most companies have difficulty to find people that they have these two distinguished capability. Number one, knowing how to develop products, and number two, understanding AI. On that, understanding AI, because it's an ocean. You would say like, oh, what level they develop open AI, but I don't know how should be my skills and what is understanding AI. This is very subjective. We have a specific slide for that, and with Ali, we delve deep on that one. But before I move on and talk more about the rise of AI product management, Ali, do you have any point to add here?
No, this is great. So this is what we see on the industry side as well, that product management become much more important, and especially for past few years, AI product management rises a lot. And yeah, I would say that the healthy ratio is 1-7, but it depends a lot about what product area you work in. So, for example, when I worked on more front-endy user customer facing products, that ratio goes higher. So it's like 1-4, 1-5. And then when you go and work on more infrastructure and backend products, that ratio changes to 1-20. Also about how large is your product area. For junior PMs, normally it's 1-7. That's the average. For senior PMs is 1-20, 25. And then for group product managers could be 50 plus or 100 plus.
Indeed. Thank you. Anyway, we go to the rise of this one, and then mainly we're going to talk about what and why. Okay, so then we're going to tackle the how, and there we talk more about the AI, how it's embedded in the product, and what level, and what AI does transform right now. So to have a bigger picture, and it's just the lens towards products. Okay, we are not checking the human evolution, rather the evolution of products. We go from the product to the system of system. What we see from your Rolex watch, or let's say the Royal Oak or Oyster Perpetual, any of them, they are not connected. Fantastic mechanical marvel, but they're not connected. Then we had the phone like 15, 20, or 25 years ago, more with Bluetooth and so on. Then we went for asking Alexa to put Adele because I feel sad, put Hello song for me, or let's say put a digital, or use the connected home facilities. You're traveling and you use your Airbnb and you use Uber for commuting, for example, or YouTube products to check cats and dogs, or you get in your car and then you're, for example, driving with the Tesla or Apple or other smartphones. One thing here is that we see companies are coming and collecting more data. And data, those who master this journey of digitalization, and then tap on AI, is that they know how to use the data and create products or customize it for you. Similar to YouTube, similar to Spotify, Netflix, similar to Tesla. And example is that the product creates new products, suite of product. What does it mean? Tesla is not necessarily in car manufacturing. Tesla added options for insurance and for the car. So basically, Tesla knows how you drive, and based on the speed of your driving and the way you're driving, based on your behavior, basically, the insurance is cut and the insurance is provided for you. This is totally different from the classical approach of insurance that we have in Germany or in Switzerland, for example. Ali, do you have any specific point to add here?
Point. Yeah, great point. That so when we launch products, for example, in 1990s or 2000, we only focus on the customer. So it was like customer needs, requirements, and then translate them. Nowadays, we develop products for an ecosystem around the customer. So it's not only immediate requirement of the customer, but how your product position in an ecosystem of product that customer is using or may use. So that makes it much harder and more complex. Also, there are a lot of connectivity in terms of data connections, and then using the data, giving the data to other applications. So it becomes a super complex area, which justifies product management. Because when you have a very straightforward solution, probably after requirement management, the role of product manager goes a little bit lower. But with these complex ecosystems, product managers stay on top until landing the product.
Exactly. Thank you, Eddie. But one thing First, let's look at the product because the activity and task creates the job, or the activity and task demands for people, experts to come in and fill the demand. So if we see this one, aligned with what Ali was talking, is that on the traditional product, we have a tech stack adding up. What does it mean? On top of the classical product or mechanical product or physical product, we have software adding up, a layer of software, and then on top becoming like cloud being added up, or connectivity of devices and understanding each part of it and sharing the data, parsing data, getting data, understanding, and so on. So that is adding up to the product as the different products that I already showed. So based on that, if we see, we have different roles, classical, project managers owns the schedule, tracks it, make the project happen. Program management or program manager getting it built. But then product managers being in Google and many other companies, but then there's a rise in many other, let's say, even non-tech companies right now we see, is that they are conductor of an orchestra. They consider all of that reporting or dotted line, and they're in the middle of different people. Next slide, I will talk more about the stakeholders that they manage. But this role may have similar tasks, but different labels or different names. As far as we know, in Google, in Amazon, in TikTok, in Meta, we have the title of product manager or AI product manager. In Microsoft, mainly we have program manager, as far as I know. And then at Apple, it is product marketing manager. Probably recently they're adding here and there to some teams at product manager or AI product management. Though they are very advanced, they're doing a great job in their vision. I'll pass it to Ali if you would like to add any of your insights.
That's often very hard to define what is product manager. So there is a conference happening in Zurich every year. It's called Product Management Festival. It's very large one. It's the largest outside US, and I think it's the third one across the world. So I and my team try to always attend that one. It's amazing to see more than 1,000 product managers across the world attending that. And then there you see that how diverse is the definition of product management in different companies. As Amin mentioned, we have product managers, but that title may mean differently in different companies. The role of product manager in Google is much closer to program manager role in Microsoft. I recently saw some job posting from NVIDIA as technical lead manager. And when I read the role specification, it was like, okay, this is exactly similar to product manager in Google, because product management in Google is quite technical. So it's very important to not stick with the title, but with the role and a specification. Later in the slide deck, we have different type of product managers that can emerge in a company, and you will see that they are very different in terms of responsibilities. And it's important to understand that one title may just cover everything. It's a very diverse thing.
Indeed, thank you. So the key message here is like care about the task that you're doing rather than the main title. And that task obviously is touched or assisted or will be automated by AI. So that's a very important thing to know, that while we are there are part of the task is going to be touched. So the key message here is caring about the task and activities. And second point is how AI is supporting. So one thing there is that you're in the middle of many stakeholders and you're dealing with many different people. Again, depends. Usually we say for PM and AIPM, AIPM means product managers, is that they have end-to-end access to the product. They have the vision from let's say the demand of the market and the need of the customer until the product is built, delivered, shipped, and then checked, and then continuous improvement on the process. So this means you deal with engineers, marketing, and so on. Now, some companies may define it in the middle of the spectrum and then say like, well, you're just technically here on the development side. Good, but then at least you have end-to-end view, but your core task is, let's say, horizontally goes down or vertically goes down. So there are many different stakeholders. I don't want to name them all, but in the middle there, and depends on the type of the product. For example, if you are developing a for bank. We had a couple of cases where banks, for example, compliance is one of the important things to care about, else than other things. This is the core. So core competencies is very important, plus the AI. So consider two circles for yourself, your core area, and then the other part, it is the AI. And that this intersection between these two, you will meet many other people to deal with. So I pass it to Ali if you would like to add anything here.
Just one thing. So these are the all like cross-functional entities that the product manager in a normal day interact with them. Depending on the product area, you may emphasize a lot on one area. For example, in YouTube, I work on more machine learning solutions. So I work a lot with engineering, like 80% of my time. But when I was in Calendar, I worked a lot with the user experience side, so research and marketing. Another thing related to AI product management, we have legal entity in most companies. They traditionally worked on traditional classic legal cases like copyrights, having permission to launch in a country, regulations in a country. But now with AI and products that consume a lot of user data, there are two subsets of legal that pops out. One is privacy, which should be taken very, very seriously. There are many regulations around privacy of user data. And then the other one is about fairness. When we go into AI, the models can be biased, and they can lead into very nasty outcome. So these are things that pops out of the legal entities as new problems that emerge by tons of data of user available and AI integrating into the product life cycle.
Awesome. So one thing here is that there may be a question now. Okay, you talk about PM, you talk about AIPM. What's the difference? What are the key differences, and so on? So as we discussed, and if you see the spectrum of the products and the products that you work on, or they are mixed, it's probably physical or probably digital, or probably mixed, some of the products that you see here. So unlike traditional PM, AIPM, as Ali was mentioning as well, there are some challenges: data dependencies, model training, unpredictability of model output. You think it's going to work, it doesn't. Again, very important topic: ethical compliance considerations and so on. So these are the things that are different from PM. And on top, one thing, there is a matter of a speed and a scale. Of course, you may say, like, well, we had it with software, because a physical product, when we launch it, it takes time to be used and adapted and so on. That is different for a software product or data product. And then for AI product, matter of a speed and a scale, and everybody, and then the harm as well could be higher. I would like to address this part as well, that the key difference between the software and AI is the matter of learning that is in there. In software, we are coding it the way we think, with our biases, with our knowledge, with our approach. We code it and we have kind of particular outcome. But here, when we are using AI, there are neural nets in the middle. There are many other elements there that contributes to the learning of it. So let's put it this way. We are creating a machine that automates itself or learns by itself. Sure, I'm not talking about self-agency, okay? But then there is an element of learning that we cannot deny that scary smart. I'll pass it to Ali if you would like to add anything about these two last slides.
Just one thing is it's a very interesting slide, because it's not the difference between ML products and solutions and traditional software development. It's not limited to PM role. For example, a few years ago, we saw the emergence of ML engineer role on the software engineering side. So that needs a very different mindset. When you develop software traditional way, you write code, and your bugs are mostly coming from human mistakes in the code. So with some standard test approaches, you try to localize the bug and find it and fix it. And if you are a very good programmer and you do some best practices like pair programming and software testing and things like that, you can and have a good design, You start from a point and then straightforward you get to your launch, and product will behave the way you want. In AI is very different. The bugs and problems, they also emerge from human mistakes, but mostly from ML things. It could be about data. Your data is not good. Your model is bad. The model architecture is bad. Your training approaches is not enough. You didn't look at biases and fairness of your model. You didn't test it enough. And then you put it out there and everything is a probabilistic model in between. That means that with low probability, even if you do everything right, it can just behave in a way that you never ever predicted it. And software testing for AI is a very different mindset and approach. It's not it needs a lot of data-driven approach, analytical mindset. Be very creative about what can go wrong with this product, predict it a lot ahead of time. So it's a very different discipline. When we hire, for example, engineers in the market, in industry, a generic software engineer and ML engineer, they have very different mindsets. They have very different skill sets. And if you want an engineer for AI products, you have to hire an ML engineer. Similarly, if your product is heavily rely on AI, you need a very different skill set on the PM side. So it's not traditional best practices of the PM that apply for these products. You need a very different skill set to be hired. I think we will talk more about that one.
Exactly. We can go deeper. So let's put it this way, without being orthodox about this way of thinking, like that's the definition, because we see it in some webinars or some of the colleagues, or let's say the available videos, let's say, or podcasts. Sometimes they say like, this is the line, this is PM or AIPM, this is not. Well, we see it a bit different. It's a fluid area. It's evolving and things could be there. So one thing there is that there are three essences there: the discovery of the AI product, the development of AI product, and the delivery of AI product. And then this is a journey to go through that. Is it one shot? Not at all. There are many back and forth, the same as design thinking. There are many back and forth, rotation, turning there, and getting there so that with the continuous improvement mindset, / growth mindset, you get to the product that is powered by AI, and it helps people or checks, and it might last for months or it might last for years. Might be some cool idea similar to Notebook LM, could be some other, let's say, smart, lovely, let's say, prototype, but not as scalable. We will talk about this matter of scalability in another webinar, I believe, scheduled for 26th of February. But anyway, it will be announced later. Ali, would you like to add anything on the definition, or move to some other
same thing? So,
statistics?
I'm also very, very much against these, giving very rigid things. From the course we have, I always say that people come for these courses and say 3 ways of doing it, 5 ways of doing it. It's never 6, it's never 9. It's always a nice number. So I'm very against that one. Of course, you need to know the best practices. You need to know all different methods. But at the end of the day, when you start doing your job, it's like eating your lunch. So of course, there are different ways of taking the spoon and the fork and the knife, but everyone knows how to eat. And when you are at the table and you are very hungry, you will eat anyway. So it's good to know the methods, but it's very important to tailor it for your problem and your company and your use cases.
Okay, yeah, there's no one size fits all. So there are some statistics I drew at, and then definitely we share the slides with you, selected the slides, so that you have the references, you can check it with yourself. There are some companies hiring, these are the companies. Even there are cool graphics online that shows like from where they're hired, what are the programs out there, and so on. There are other, let's say, information crunch on the salary and I don't know how AI contributes and so on. I don't want to go deep there because that's very generic and in a way is valuable. But anyway, for us, we have other content to share. You can just see it at your piece and review that. There are qualities there. Again, we can add 10, we can have 8, we can have 15. Let's put, if we want, for matter of simplicity, we are just putting it all together in a way that we raise the factor. And then many of this holds for many job functions. So it's not just for this job, let's say a title. So AI knowledge definitely is important. What level we will discuss later on the how in this third part of the talk. Growth mindset, as we discussed, continuous improvement. It is there will be many setbacks, but the point is that you learn to overcome, you learn to move on, and not to harbor in the solution. But this is very important because we all, as engineers, we are trained in engineering schools to solve a problem. Example. Bring it to home. When you talk with your partner and your partner vents and talks about herself or himself, we as engineers, we just jump with the solution. We say, honey, you need to do this or that. And the answer, majority of the time is that I just wanted to vent. I just wanted to share, didn't search for a solution. So one thing very important here is to embed this part, that be problem-oriented, to understand the person, to understand the customer, rather than we fit our solution. And as Maslow says, for a man who holds a hammer in the hand, the whole world looks like a nail. So we don't want to be like this. As an engineer, we have a lot of tools in our toolbox, but then we would like to fit it in a proper problem. So understanding of the problem is the key. The other one is the ability to connect and bond with our customer, with our stakeholders, and so on. And there are going to be tons of conflicts. There will be a lot of communication that you need to manage. There will be different things, and last-minute prioritization. Well, we engineers, we call it diplomacy and politics, but there are tons of this in the corporate and larger companies and the startups that are acquired by larger companies and different cultures. So this is very important that we consider this, let's say, qualities. Ali, if you would like to add anything, or if we miss anything here.
I think it's not enough to emphasize on being problem focused or user focused, because especially in terms of AI, many people don't have the first quality, which is AI knowledge. So because of that one, many people fall into a trap of, oh, I have this technology or the hammer, and let me just fit it in. And one of the problems in the companies is whenever you work with engineering teams, is that they fall in love with the technology. So there's like, oh, Gemini or ChatGPT. So they like the model and they try to fit it anyway, justify using that technology for the problem. And it becomes much harder for AI PMs to say, no, that's overkill. We will discuss it later, that this technology is not the best solution to what we need. Maybe just extrapolation would work for us, a heuristic work for us. We don't need such a complex model. And in the AI product management, it becomes much harder because still we don't have a benchmark to say what technology should be used for here for this problem or that problem. If you go back to traditional software, distributed systems or very large databases, people built some criteria when you should use distributed system, when you should make your architecture more complex. In the AI world, we are still unmature. So there will be a lot of debates between PM, Eng team on over-engineering the problem, and then with the marketing that says, oh, it would be great if we claim that we are using, for example, Gemini as our core. So the role of PM becomes much, much more important to prevent over-engineering.
I get it. So far we talked about what and why of AI product management or this field. Now let's go for the how. So before we start there, as we discussed, AI is a tool set. So we have many small tools there. And you've heard more probably about generative AI for those that are not in the field. Those that are in the field, they know that supervised learning is there, and then generative AI like GPT, Gemini, Claude, and then unsupervised learning, which is like how we learn the tree. Like this is tree, and then you don't need 20 times to repeat yourself. This is tree. When you're in jungle, doesn't matter. This is an oak tree, or for example, other types of tree, or apple tree, or pear tree. This is a tree. So then there's a reinforcement learning, which basically you provide when you're in GPT, you're using, or Gemini you use, you like it, you don't like it, or so on. Or based on the context that after the chat you provide, then system learns. So it's the same as we train our dog, good boy, for some activity, or no, you don't do this. So that's a quick overview. But the main thing here is that how AI, this tool set, changes or drive change here. So let's break it down to 3 easy, understandable points, okay? So first is the task and occupations. For example, machine vision to identify potential cancer cells. Or, for example, you sync. I'll show you one case study. That is like they're syncing the data, and then we have more information online on the page of the program as well. The other one is the business process. Example, CO2 capture, CO2 reduction. Then we are checking the network in operations. Example. There are many others as well. Or one of the cases that I will show you is Amazon Go as well. The other one is the business model. For example, Spotify, Netflix, they changed. YouTube, they changed the business model, the context here. Your experience of the music and movie got more personalized, changed over time. So on the first case, if you want to talk, is the same. One of the groups participants in our classes, in our graduate classes, because we have similar, it's CS 500 at EPFL as well. So graduate of computer science, they've been there, did awesome job, pivoted, went to Y Combinator. This is a company right now, a startup, active. And recently I was talking with the co-founder, just got back in Switzerland after the new year. We had a short talk. They are about to reach to their even break-even point based on the amount of, let's say, capital that they raised. So they are doing the syncing between that. If you want to watch more, you can watch the video down there. The first part of it is info session. The second part is shortly 5 or 10 minutes about their product and their startup. By the way, they are coming to our program in March and April and sharing their experience and how they went this journey from ideation to prototyping and then product. Second is, as I said, Amazon Go, and I go fast. I believe you watched this video anyway. On the slides, we can leave this video for you so that you can watch it at your pace. And the third one is Netflix, or let's say Spotify. And by the way, if you haven't watched it on Netflix, I highly recommend to watch the playlist, the Spotify story, or Netflix, the History 101. These are really cool stuff that's showing the background of that, and we love it as an engineer to know more how they went this journey from the ideation, prototyping, and the product. Now, given this context, we go for the AI solution and AI product. Main question is, how much AI do I need to know? Because we talked about AI knowledge, right? So one part is off-the-shelf solution, tuning existing solution, or building fundamental models. I'll leave it for Ali to provide more details and examples for each part of it so that I can have a sip of water as well. Ali, the floor is yours.
Sure. So, yeah, it's a spectrum that depends on, we just broke it into 3 milestones. One is that you have a product and you can benefit from some off-the-shelf solutions. For example, you need a face recognition or identification service for your product. So your product is a banking one or a finance one, and you would like a face recognition. You don't want to build it yourself because there are many solutions out there. You just integrate a face recognition API into your system. Or, for example, you use one of the LLMs into your product, and you just expect that one to do what you want from it. So you don't tweak the model, you don't retrain the model, you don't fine tune it. You just take the solution off the shelf and integrate it into your system, and it works for you. there you need a minimum knowledge of AI. That means that you should have some idea what kind of AI you need. Is it supervised learning, reinforcement learning, cluster-based one, unsupervised? What kind of technology you need? If the technology works for your use case or not, what kind of distribution of data that technology has been tested on. For example, if you take a face recognition product, you should make sure that that product was not developed for, I don't know, Northern Europe, because this happened a lot for many products, that they trained their data based on some generic databases of faces out there, and the product was very biased to a white male. So it didn't recognize the face of colored people. So that is what you need to know. If the technology fits what you need, and then how much the side effect of AI, like bias, fairness, amount of training, amount of false positive, false negatives that technology will bring for you, fits your use cases. And then have some risk plan, mitigation plan, so risk mitigation plan in place to say, if AI behaved in a way that I don't expect, what do I do? So do I have a replacement? Can I just take it down and replace it with a heuristic for a while? So that's the area for the off-the-shelf. Then there is a growing area of, you take the technology, but then you retrain it with your data, you fine-tune it, you do something on top of it. So then there you need to know the life cycle of AI development, how to collect data, how to train the model, how to test the model, how to make sure that your model is not biased. And then the rest of things is similar to the off-the-shelf when you integrate that ready for production model or solution into your product. And then the third one is not for everyone, but probably by growing in computational power around the world, many more companies and startups can develop fundamental models. That is that you develop a fundamental model from scratch. So you own your data, or you buy data, you train the model yourself, and then you maybe plug it into your product, or start selling that model to others as an off-the-shelf solution. So amount of knowledge of AI you need grows a lot. So when you develop a model, you need to be at the level of a PhD of machine learning, understand deeply about the mathematics behind the modeling. But when you do the fine-tuning, you don't need that kind of quality. You just need to know when modeling can go wrong, and have a good sense of, this is a complex problem. It probably takes 2-3 quarters until we get into a stable model or not. And then on the first one, you just need to have a good sense of what kind of technology fits and what are the shortcomings and caveats of using AI in products.
Thank you, Ali. Just one thing there is, like, for the there's a good documentary called Bias that expands more on what Ali was mentioning about limitation on the data, in the training process and other, let's say, steps. Let me gear up and then go a bit faster on the challenges. One thing that is there, scary, is that 70 to 80% we see failure rate. So this means with all of these steps that we took on knowing about the what and why and how to go forward, the thing is, there's no rosy fence, or it's not green in the other side of the fence. The thing is, there's 70 to 80% failure rate. So you may ask, what are the main reasons? The main trap, as we discussed, is we see a lot on the prototyping with companies and within our programs as well, that people, they go for a problem. There's no the problem. So the matter of continuous improvement is very important, to just be dynamic there and moving and pivoting here. Not just, no, this is the problem, I'm just going to work on that one. The other one is just focusing on the technical feasibility. Because of this model fine-tuning, or going based on this LLM, I want to do this one. So you're not problem-oriented. You're rather seeing it from the solution towards the problem. And the other thing is like over-engineering and not releasing the product. I don't want to add any comment here, but anyway, we had fantastic article coming 2017-18 from Google, and we have Gemini there with BART or other versions calling. But anyway, Google was very concerned about the release of the product and how it could be used or so on. But OpenAI probably had less concern, and they just went through. I don't want to cluster that move under over-engineering and so on, because there's a debate on that one. But anyway, one thing here is that what are the other factors that could be playing role? I'll pass it to Ali to mention. And Ali, if you have any other point about these 2 or 3 slides that so far went through.
I think those should be very intuitive problems that rises. We discussed it before. So the nature of AI is non-deterministic. We can't predict how the system behave in different environments. Then fairness and bias become more and more important problem. You may have a lot of data dependency. For example, if you need data from your users to decide about what to recommend to them, how to integrate with that data, how the distribution of that data can change the behavior of your system. Those are things that are not well-defined disciplines and needs a lot of experience to have some sense around them. Understanding the value of false negatives and false positives. In all the school pattern recognition, there was a famous example that if you make a mistake and say that someone healthy has cancer, the cost is that person goes through some experiments, and we found out that no, it was a wrong decision. But if the person has a bad disease and we don't detect it, the cost of that one is much higher. So in some problem spaces, you need to go and say that what is the cost of false positive versus false negative, and then tune the threshold that how much false positive is allowed. For example, when in my product, when we do video moderation, sometimes we mistakenly take a video down. And we would like to minimize that number as much as possible, because that frustrates good creators, even though we give them the appeal path. But we want to minimize that one. But on the other hand, we don't want to let any abusive content, especially the egregious one, to go on the platform and kids watch them. So it's a very, very hard problem to find a balance between not affecting good creators, but also making a very good level of user safety. And then the last one, we discussed it, over complexity and ROI. So should we put a jet engine on a small bike? Probably not. So and that looks like a funny example, but this is happening every day in our life as AI product managers, discussing that if this complex ML solution is the right fit for this problem at hand.
Thank you, Ali. Yeah, sure. To ensure that we are not fitting the solution again to the problem. So, and the other point is, like, we talked about negative thing, that how it could go wrong, how it fails, and so on. Let's recap this part, the part 4, with a positive note, which is this one. If there's going to be any takeaway for you, is like how the success looks like in general for any of the AI products or prototypes, is that, number one, does that add value? Is it usable? Example, companies are paying too much for SAP, for ERP system, SAP, Oracle. I'm not against them. But one thing is still, it's a piecemeal solution. People, they use Excel to solve that. So there are $1 million are spent, then Excel is from the other side to solve some stuff, and people are not using unless they're forced. So that is another thing that in AI, let's say in the age of AI, that's very important, that your solution being used. The other one is it feasible? Might be great, but is it feasible? As Ali said, for example, I use another metaphor. We don't kill the mosquito with a bazooka. Basically, we should not kill any animal. But then we have to consider it just should be a proportional, let's say, equation for the problem and the solution. Probably a nice statistical analysis or nice statistical, let's say, model could solve the problem, and you don't need necessarily ML or AI. And the other thing is it viable? Does that bring money? Which is the last point that Ali was talking about, ROI. We translated to the positive side of it. So next is about the future of AI. And Ali, if you have, I'm just summarizing, we are summarizing here all the graphics that you have seen so far. But Ali, if you have 2 or 3 key points in your view that needs to be considered for this field, for the future of this field, as you see them.
Well, no one. So the thing is that no one can predict the future. So to give you an example, 2015, I was a product manager in YouTube infrastructure. So I could predict how the market moves, what is the user requirements in next 3 years to build a state of art of infrastructure to enable YouTube to address those ones 3 years ahead. So things like live stream or shorts and things like that. We started predicting those needs 2-3 years ahead, and then built the required infrastructure to support that kind of scale. I confess that I cannot, with a lot of understanding of machine learning and mathematical understanding of it, I cannot predict what will happen next 6 months about what kind of technology we will see. So that put there. So whatever I'm saying is like a very foggy vision, but I'm trying to say something. All these large models are coming. They become much cheaper. So we can expect that a lot of more use cases of large models. Large models from text becoming multimodal. So they understand pictures now very well. They understand video slowly. We see it in my team. We see fantastic capabilities of large models in video understanding, and then combine everything together. So they become contextual aware of the problem. So you can say, here are all nuances around my problem. Can you come up with some solution for me? So on the large model, that's kind of the trend. They become larger, more contextual, multimodal, and they become cheaper. So it's more feasible to integrate them into more and more applications. That's one trend. The other one that's happening, and it's not a hype, although many people think it's hype, it's agentic world. So agentic world is unmature at the moment, but it will become a thing in near future. So you have an agent empowered by large models that you can give them some task, a mission and the context, and ask them to come up with plans themselves. They can, in research and in some very early prototypes, we can see dynamic planning. So they are assigned to a task that needs switching and adjusting the plan and a strategy online, and they are capable of doing very complex tasks that a very expert human is capable of doing. So this year will be a lot of self-claimed agent experts on LinkedIn. Expect that one. But in reality, end of this year and probably next year is a transition from just large models as entities to agentic world, where agents can do the task in the applications. The only thing I can for sure predict is that the cost of these models drops significantly, and then they become more and more available in applications.
Excellent, thank you. So to wrap it up, the movement from large to medium and the smaller, let's say, models, and their pricing going to drop. The other one is the multi-model models going to be more, which meaning it's not just text like LLM. You're going to have more photos and, let's say, sounds. BMW, for example, in trying to put like the sound of the machine and gearbox and some other elements there, and the noise and log of the data all together to just understand the, let's say, to do condition monitoring, for example. The other one is the agentic AI. Thank you, Eddie. So on that note, let me just quickly talk about the program and community that we are building at EPFL. So one thing is, I'm not sure that we are good on the timing, but anyway, it was a fantastic discussion here.
We are good, but we can.
This is on the timing. Yeah, I have to accelerate. Yes, good. So Well, one side here is that we have a program for executives here, AI Product Management Sprint. You can scan the QR code and then have an access to the website and get more details. But anyway, I'll summarize it here fastly for you. One thing is that we have this program, two programs upcoming. And one is in the spring, in March 31st and April 1st. And then there's a demo day, which I will talk about it as well. And then a week after. And then we have another one, summer program. The sooner the better, considering the speed of that. The other thing is we are considering to touch the price. This should not be the element of your decision making. Rather, I'm sharing it as to be transparent and honest with you all. So these are the two things. We have Ali, we have many other experts in the field, plus our fantastic faculties and colleagues here joining us. And then we are building our community, which one of the event for the community going to be 12th of February. We will get together after the first program that we had. We're going to get together and check in what happened with their prototype, where do they stand, and so on and so forth. So you may ask, okay, who's the target audience? It's written on the website. Basically, if you're a product person or you're in product, you would like to learn, or you're in product, and then you would like to add the AI part, or you have both of them and you would like to upskill and network with other people. So what's going to happen there? The main overview is the 3-day program, 2 days sprint from 8:30 up to 6:30. 8:30 to 6:30. So 9 hours we're going to run. So really come with your sneaker. It's ready to learn. We're going to be all there at Ask and Exchange. And all of us we are there to learn about three main things. Number one, how to identify opportunities for developing new AI products. Second is, when can AI improve existing product? You may have a product and then you would like to embed AI or see how service or process could be improved. The other one is what are the best practices, which we have from corporates and startups sharing their experience there as well. One other thing is that the point is we are going basically with these 4-5 main points as an objective. We identify opportunities, gaining insight there, discovering, and then building an effective AI roadmap for your product, and then to create a minimum viable product. You may have a question, what is minimum viable product? And look, MVP is not a product, it's rather a process of learning, improving, as we discussed, and enhancing it into the full-fledged product. So you may ask, why should I register and why should I participate? There are numerous reasons, depends on your needs. You may need to upskill on the AI side. You may improve your leadership skill, because you will be assigned to a team of the participant, and you will work with people from different industry and companies together to come up with your prototype. So better to know, and we have a session, or we will assist you to get to know, to introduce yourself in our platform, to get to know people before joining our program as well. Gaining insight on the technical professional network, which is very important in this field. There are a small but evolving, let's say, group. And then the other thing is EPFL certificate of completion. Probably is not very important for those who are EPFL graduate, but anyway, it's very important to upskill along this journey. So you may ask, what's going to happen? I register, but what's going to happen? The day one, we're going to go through the introduction of AIPM, basic introduction of ML and AI. We will have one session as well with one of the professors and our faculties here. Then we're going to go for AI product discovery, and we will have corporates and a startup joining us. Then Ali will be with us as well on the first day. Then we have day two. We go for the AI product development, and again, other series of lectures, case studies, and so on, and AI delivery. And you have time for reflection. You have time to work within your group on your idea to build up. Then you have a project week, which is supervised by the faculty, but basically we tune in and it's online. We are available if you have questions or support as much as we can provide. We don't develop product for you, but rather we help you towards going through your product launch or let's say prototyping, with helping you on the experimental let's say, product experimentation, product experimentation mindset. So that last day going to be the demo day. We wrote more on the website. You can read it more. If you are concerned about confidentiality, you can raise this fact for your group. Then that's going to be just experts there. Otherwise, it's going to be all participants. Do I need to be there? You may ask the question in person. Depends. That day is hybrid. The first 2 days, definitely in person. The last day is hybrid, and you can just present your project there. The AIPM team, we have fantastic faculties and experts in AI startup and corporation there. I'm myself going to be there. Amir, who's expert in multi-model models, working there. Ali is, as you've seen, amazing experience. 𝗔𝗜 is joining as well. With 𝗔𝗜, we will have another webinar, February 26th of February. It's about how to scale from prototyping, how we can scale AI products as well, as he experienced it in Zurich Insurance. So that's all. If there's any question, would be happy to take. If Milena, feel free to pause the recording, and then we can go for